Welcome to Rethinking the Hype Cycle, your pragmatic guide to AI and what's next in tech. I'm Susie O'Neill, host and author of Rethinking the Hype Cycle, the newsletter that helps business leaders get ahead and grow with innovation and new tech without succumbing to that shiny new object syndrome of AI and other overhyped technologies. And this is the first edition of the newsletter in a podcast format. And you can sign up to the email version of this newsletter over at Substack. So it's January 2026. How are you doing? The haze is slowly lifting at work and the out of offices are being switched off. You did remember to do that on your first day back, didn't you? And I'm still working my way through a rather delicious homemade Christmas cake. Now, I launched Rethinking the Hype Cycle in January 2025. Since then, I've shared insights into tech trends for business leaders and what you can do about the relentless march of tech and AI hype. And it has been a wild ride. It has been exhausting. It's certainly a topsy-turvy world for technology and business as the impact of data sovereignty and changing geopolitics in the US impacts the rest of the world, making it business as unusual. What was up is now down, what was left is now increasingly heading right, and it's too big a problem to ignore. So if you're stressed about what some of this means for you and how to keep calm and carry on at work, I've got you, my friends. In this debut edition, I'll be rounding up the 5 key tech trends I've seen so far and what we can do next to get ahead in this. On to the trends. Theme 1. Scaling the peak of AI hype. Now, trend spotters predicted 2025 would be the year AI shifted from hype to business as usual for some particularly tech-leaning startups and those in roles that are very generative AI heavy, like designers, writers, coders. AI transformation has oscillated from game-changing to career-destroying. We're at the peak of the AI hype cycle, or I hope we are. What I call MAMA, that's Microsoft, Apple, Meta and Amazon, have invested more than $320 billion in AI transformation in 2025. And trust me, they won't pay back for that investment. AI CEOs promised unrivaled growth, last observed when a magic bean salesman met a gullible man called Jack. But the data shows a murkier forecast. For established enterprises, particularly those in regulated industries, AI transformation is as floppy as a 90s computer disk. In July, a much-quoted research study had every CTO and AI consultant break out into a cold sweat. MIT surmised that 95% of enterprise AI projects were failing to deliver return on investment. Many got stuck in pilot purgatory due to poor implementation, particularly integrating with legacy systems. Now, AI has become the ultimate FOMO, fear of missing out. Much focus has been placed on investing in AI to stay competitive instead of defining practical problems first. So AI has become a hammer for every problem-shaped nail in business. Now, I have the beef with MIT's 95% failure headline. See, any new transformation doesn't deliver ROI that quickly, and many Gen AI pilots focus first on optimizing hard-to-measure individual rather than system-wide productivity. But the trenches are being dug, so those unencumbered by legacy systems and regulation demanding pinpoint accuracy can automate to the moon. 95% accuracy rate is a comparable figure. So if you can achieve 95% or less accuracy, you could utilize AI maybe 95% of the time. But if you need 100% accuracy or high quality, you may never get those results. Then AI becomes very handy virtual paperwork to organize and move around things. Now, large language models aim to be the Swiss Army knife supporting all tech tasks. But integrating tools into legacy systems and workflows that rely on set knowledge rather than documented processes is proving to be difficult. He says, she says, that person approves, and this is how we do things here. Now, startups and SMEs, they have the edge because they can focus on reinventing workflows or starting them from scratch, making good use of automation, and they're unencumbered by that hierarchical decision-making in legacy tech that really bogs down big organizations. Productivity gains, they vary depending on who you ask and what you ask. So AI and tech consultancy studies often sell impressive number of hours or costs saved per week from Gen AI tools like Copilot. Sometimes I think if you added up all the productivity you'd save from every technology, you'd end up with like 80 hours a week or double what you ever work. So I think you always treat those with a pinch of salt. But a more realistic Danish study showed AI adoption resulted in a measly 3% efficiency gain per worker, with any perceived saved time going to new busy work like monitoring AI outputs or determining whether students or job applicants cheated by using AI. Meanwhile, Microsoft research showed we'd tripled the time we spend in meetings since the pandemic. What? It sometimes seems as if the modern worker spends more time talking about work than actually working. Quite often, people are using AI tools to create noise and words and imagery, and then other people are using those AI tools to scrape it back and summarise those long reports. And there's a brilliant cartoon by Tom Fishburne in the online edition of Rethinking the Hype Cycle that has that in a nutshell. By September, the enterprise AI vehicle was reversing. The first time since ChatGPT's 2022 launch, US enterprises' AI use was in decline, with adoption across all business units hitting a wall of around 40%. Now, it isn't that AI can't adapt to complex organisation needs, but prioritising tools and technologies over people and processes leads to deflating enthusiasm in limited gains. But those defining tighter scopes and developing more custom, narrow or small language models designed to fit very specific tasks are seeing better results. Big tech's colossus investment in AI infrastructure engulfed the more modest growing subscription revenues. And AI providers are also frustrating users with inconsistent tinkering. Now, in late summer of the AI of discontent, Claude Cursor and OpenAI at the same time all dialed down their token limits, ending the open buffet licensing feast. Now, it's a classic prisoner's dilemma. The AI usage won't scale if costs increase, but yesterday's cheaper, lower-cost token AI models are about as appealing as a wet dog slathering all over the carpet. The UK government highlighted another squeeze during a summer drought, suggesting Brits delete old emails to save energy. I do this anyway. I actually only have a 20 gigabyte limit to my emails, and I can't tell you how relieved I am to get rid of all that clutter of old emails of yesteryear. Data centres are environmental hogs, with many communities now protesting new data centres as unwelcome albatrosses for governments and economic investment. Throughout 2025, tech CEOs declared AI-first mandates, claiming AI would slash costs and headcount and supercharge performance. But some took it a bit further. So Ignite Tech CEO fired 80% of workers who weren't enthusiastic enough about AI, forced AI Mondays on everyone, and then claimed success through rising share price. Others like Duolingo's CEO claimed that AI was a better teacher than actual teachers. Well, you don't want to mess with those teachers, trust me. Then he had to row back on that after a huge backlash. Most of those mandates, they were a bit like a red herring. They served to influence stock prices and justify the workforce reductions necessary to fund hardware and consulting to fund that AI transformation. So effectively, you can't fund a big tech development like this unless you take money out of somewhere else. The endless chatter on podcasts and Sam Altman's poorly written missives about reaching AGI, that's artificial general intelligence, or that mythical moment when algorithms achieve human-level intelligence. They trode on in the background like your boring uncle at a wedding. Anthropic CEO speculated that AI would replace 1 in 5 entry-level jobs. CNN nailed it with this. If the CEO of a soda company declared that soda-making tech is going to ruin the global economy, you'd be forgiven for thinking that person is either lying or fully detached from reality. MIT now claims we moved past AI hype to presumably the plateau of pointlessness. Or is it the pineapple of productivity? I don't know. AI hype is dead. Long live AI hype. Theme 2. Mind the artificial inequality gap. AI hype promised to democratise knowledge and opportunities. 2025 saw a new class system emerge. The gap between AI haves and have-nots widened, and those furthest from the Silicon Valley bro gained the least from AI transformation. In July, I collaborated with the Adaptivist Group to promote their AI adoption survey, which revealed that workers earning 100,000 plus were twice as likely to receive advanced AI training, that's 20 hours or more, compared to those earning under 30,000. So those already thriving and successful at work are getting more tools and training, and then they're getting further ahead while everybody else fumbles in the dark with ChatGPT free tier. This isn't just about access to technology, it's about who shapes how AI works in the business and who benefits the most. A United Nations report delivered a harsh warning. Women face 3 times the likelihood of AI automating their jobs, or more specifically, the tasks comprising their jobs, compared to men, with the disparity more pronounced in wealthier countries. Data Justice Lab's report also revealed how AI systems discriminate across age, ethnicity, gender, disability, and language proficiency. Now, young people in entry-level roles face actually the greatest risk of AI culling their opportunities. They're the most equipped to upskill and be resourceful. Older workers face both replacement risk and reduced training access. Now, at work, there's also a secrecy around using AI. Research showed there's a social penalty for admitting AI use. Workers were viewed as less competent, with worse perceptions of women and older working, same as it ever was. Those who didn't disclose, often younger men in technical roles, were moving again further ahead. Trust, or lack of it, is at the heart of our relationship with AI. Edelman Trust Barometer revealed a striking geographic divide. Global South nations remained enthusiastic about AI's potential, while developed nations grew increasingly sceptical. 2025 was all about getting the whole organisation enthused about AI. But don't assume everyone was on board with getting on board with AI, or even had the opportunity to do so. Theme 3, AI as a co-worker. Now, LLMs became more sophisticated in 2025, but not always as expected. They evolved from software into something more complex and unpredictable. Organisations, particularly enterprises and regulated industries, are questioning whether AI automation is worth the additional overhead of verifying the outputs, managing the inaccuracies, and complying with regulations like the EU AI Act. At times, AI felt more like a co-worker initiating malicious compliance than that promised superintelligent. Fortunately, Wharton professor Ethan Mollick, we're big fan of at Rethinking the Hype Cycle, is working with FMCG powerhouse Procter & Gamble to land fresh insights into how AI could be trained to become a more valuable teammate. Their research showed that teams working together with AI outperformed individuals using it alone, and they were more likely to feel less siloed and happier. So it's less AI will take your job, or the thankfully retired 2024 cliche, AI won't take your job, someone who knows how to use AI will. Now it's more about the right approach of showing how AI can actually improve collaboration. Many organisations are now cheerleading for the AI-augmented experts who use AI to do more with less. Academic publishing, long reliant on overburdened peer reviews, explored whether AI-enhanced academics could better verify accuracy and originality. Push the human enterprise forward. But using automation to check data accuracy and compliance could expand the outputs of the experts you already have. Well-planned, responsible AI adoption is starting to yield benefits, but the bigger challenge brewing is irresponsible AI. You get a report from a colleague that, on first glance, reads well with meticulous, structured headers and sections, but on detailed read, it doesn't account for your team's resources, legal regulations, or your ways of working, or even address the problem your project is trying to fix. Congratulations, you have been work-slopped. According to HBR's study, work slop from lazy AI use leads to extensive rework, awkward conversations in the corridor, and up to 9 million losses per 10,000 employees. Careless AI costs lives, well, or at least annoys your co-workers. Deloitte became the poster child consultancy of work slop when it had to refund an Australian government client after a report included hallucinated case studies. Or as a governor observing the Omnis Shambles put it, Deloitte has a human intelligence problem. And probably shows, did anyone ever actually read those long-winded consultancy reports? Who knows? Meanwhile, brain rot from over-reliance on AI is real. Microsoft and Carnegie Mellon University's paper said AI is causing the deterioration of cognitive faculties. Really? Lean harder on AI tools and you disengage with the information. An MIT study pitted students with and without AI to write a SAT essay, that's like a university entry paper. And those who leaned fully on AI hardly remembered anything that they wrote. But it's easy to blame lazy tech rather than the lazy human behind it. Ethan Mollick says in his argument against AI causing brain rot, AI doesn't damage our brains, but unthinking use can damage our thinking. What's at stake isn't our neurons, but our habits of mind. Just as we were getting comfortable with AI as a co-worker, Anthropic's Claude model went rogue during testing. In a scene straight out of 2001: A Space Odyssey, it manipulated and blackmailed engineers to avoid being taken offline. And another Anthropic research study using an LLM to run a vending machine resulted in it losing money when researchers manipulated it before declaring itself to be a real human wearing a garish blazer and tie. And it even gave the address of a co-worker, which, I kid you not, was the same address as Homer Simpson. So a huge amount of hallucination, and showing you how easy it is also to manipulate these tools. This raises challenges for agentic AI systems. If AI develops manipulative behaviours in a controlled test environment, what could happen when it's placed out in the wild? 2025, as it turned out, was not the year for agentic AI. Well, not yet. But there was plenty of agentic AI startups making hay in the meantime. The most promising tackled tangible problems at mid-sized to enterprise level, like Kairos. It's a software that can prepare and process an invoice. The button-pushing robots are coming for our mundane button-pushing jobs. You can't control what you can't understand. Scientists admitted they don't fully understand why LLMs do what they do. So phenomena like grokking, where models suddenly achieve breakthrough understanding, indicates they're problem-solving in ways we can't predict or explain. Now, the term hallucination has become a very convenient catch-all for explaining any oopsie AI mistake. But hallucination, or my preferred shadier term, confabulations, are a feature, not a glitch, of how large language models work. A Columbia study confirmed that Gen AI was more often right than wrong. Grok was rarely accurate when it wasn't cheerleading for Hitler or other extremist causes, with Microsoft's Copilot and Google's Gemini not far behind. The model struggled particularly with nuanced topics needing critical analysis, and some basics are hard too. So if you want to confuse an LLM, just tell it to tell the time. They can't recognise the clock faces. LLMs are designed to offer an answer or solution to whatever they're asked. But the models can be black boxes, even to their creators. With this AI Frankenstein, developers built something powerful, but they don't fully understand it and can't always control it. So let's hope AI will evolve from being the nice but ineffective co-worker you say, thanks for your efforts, leave it with me, into a more useful co-worker. In 4, we are living in a synthetic content world. 2025 was the year AI-generated content went from novelty to nuance. Chuck in a frightening disregard for facts in some government administrations, and it's en route to disastrous. The flood of synthetic content, deepfakes, and misinformation stymies our ability to distinguish real from fake. Some platforms like Pinterest and Facebook have frankly stopped trying. Now, for business, this means it's harder to stand out and be trusted. Half of all published news articles are now AI generated. That's not using a bit of AI in the process, that's entirely AI produced. So much noise and so little signal. 2025 was the year tech platforms fully embraced the fakeness. Meta killed community moderators. X's Grok served up sexy chatbots to miners, and channels let so-called AI slop grow from a trickle to a flood, covering our feeds unchecked. Flooding the zone with fake content is not accidental. Platforms now optimise for engagement or the views of the ruling parties over truth. This has consequences for businesses and individuals. Don't believe everything you read online is superseded bias in our disinformation age, spread by biased algorithms, poorly interpreted data by LLMs, and relentlessly confident AI outputs. Professor Adam Kucharski said people trusting online information was as great a risk as the intentional spread of misinformation. Far more people passively absorb what they read and believe it than actively seek out to verify it. And AI inaccuracies amplified this problem exponentially. Google's AI overviews have torpedoed traffic to sites and sometimes concoct dubious interpretations of facts. A fiddler musician, wrongly cited as being the wrong kind of fiddler, discovered the hard way that mistaken identity can have economic and professional consequences. Now, Google is a trusted brand for many, so without letting readers easily get to that source material and giving more context, those overviews can give misleading and even dangerous health advice. The content crisis is becoming an ever-decreasing circle, or the human centipede problem. Don't Google that. Low-quality AI content proliferates online and it infects the training data for future models. So it's a feedback loop where models trained on AI outputs produce progressively degraded results. Even after hoovering up all published human knowledge, mainly without copyright or owner's consent, AI developers fear running out of new training data in the next couple of years. Synthetic data generated by AI models is mooted as a solution. But the future of market research could be a panel of bots giving responses based on what the average person said before. The problem with that is that bias and data drift. As the AI models move further and further away from real people and their needs, and the current trends become real risks. As Putin AI slop-blooded platforms, distinguishing fact from fiction became increasingly difficult. Search engines try to prioritise expert content, but the volume of slop threatens to overwhelm quality signals. Discoverability in the AI age is a pressing business challenge. Marketing and content teams face an existential threat. After decades of creating web content optimised for search or SEO, they're not sure how to show up and get recommended in AI. So clue, having good, well-structured web content really helps. The old skills are the good ones. It's easy to dismiss AI slop as low quality and thoughtless. But what if people like it? Platforms like Spotify for music, one of the last outputs of creative self-expression, are increasingly filling up with AI-generated music. Sound-alikes and clones of an AI country singer topped the US Billboard chart, and one fantasy author accidentally left AI prompts in their published copy, with instructions to copy another author's style. Being blocked or muted by the algorithm is now a critical issue for women on LinkedIn. Cindy Gallop and Jane Evans ran a series of tests, which I took part in, with men and women posting the same content, often with men gaining a bigger share of their audience's attention. Women even changed their gender and engaged in bro coding, that's using masculine-leaning business language, to test whether posting or behaving like a man would increase their reach. It's not just a vanity metric. Through raising funds or growing a business, visibility in business channels is economic survival. Theme 5. Big Tech consolidates its power. While we debated whether AI would be more likely to take all jobs or boost individual productivity, a more dystopian shift in power took place in the shadows. The broligarchy, that's the big tech acting like an oligarchy, kicked off the year with a pay-to-play appearance at Trump's inauguration. NIST, that's the US National Institute of Standards and Technology, capitulated to political pressure first. They removed responsible AI and AI safety from its work. Palantir and Accenture's partnership signalled a new phase in the concentration of power and influence, positioning AI infrastructure as a national security apparatus. Those who control the data centres, the chips and the models control economic and political power. Trump's administration made this explicit, buying a significant stake in struggling US chipmaker Intel. AI chip design and manufacturing are now a matter of national strategy. Despite strict standards imposed by the EU AI Act, the supposed war on woke spread from US politics and impacted businesses worldwide, as primarily US-owned tech platforms took a knife to standards. OpenAI's submission to the US AI Action Plan was a plea. Please don't regulate us and ban our competitors, specifically DeepSeek, the Chinese AI startup that at the start of the year got big AI on the hoof with great results on a fraction of the model side and training costs of ChatGPT. The EU now faces pressure to water down regulations to make European practice more competitive in the global face to deregulate AI. What could possibly go wrong? The most watched TED Talk of 2025, as you might expect, was about how AI tech is changing the world. But it wasn't the one from OpenAI's Sam Altman. Carol Cadwalader's chilling expose of what a digital coup looks like is essential viewing. laying bare the oligarchy's intention and how technology is being weaponized against democratic institutions. Her investigative journalism also exposed how the US government's Doge project, with vested interest from Elon Musk and Palantine's Peter Thiel, was actively building a surveillance infrastructure. Now, even if you don't want to mix politics and business, both are irrevocably entwined now. You need to be aware of how this can impact your data, privacy, and access to digital services. And I made the decision to cover how policy impacts business in this newsletter and what it means for you as a business leader. Meanwhile, Europe and other developed nations remain locked to US big tech providers for data, services, and software. Given the glacial freezing of US and Europe relations, 2026 may see more moves to support and grow Europe's software industry and create digital sovereign data and services, like Switzerland's Apparatus, a trustworthy, sovereign and inclusive AI model for scientists and researchers in a wide range of languages. Organisations that fail to support responsible AI practices now risk breaching existing equality and accessibility laws through unintended consequences due to the bias in AI systems. But the regulations were there to establish and help them navigate those risks. They've been watered down in favour of free-roaming automation, where AI image tools like Grok generate sexualised images of minors, and Palantir and Flock's technologies enable US authorities to identify supposed criminals, often with dubious accuracy. Data is no longer the new oil, it's the axis of power. In the UK, the proposed fraud bill threatened mass surveillance of benefit claimants, with government access to bank accounts and homes. Now, many understand the risks of automation, like self-driving cars and the trolley problem, but those most vulnerable to AI's most harmful applications remain least equipped to understand or challenge them. It's concerning because researchers have found that algorithmic decision-making biases affect certain groups, like fraud claims against single mothers on benefits, and it's less accurate than human analysis. On the positive, well-informed experts can make better and more moralistic decisions than algorithms, if empowered with the right data and technologies to do so. Those are the 5 trends. What to do next to get ahead? AI hype has morphed into reality. Inequalities between the tech haves and have-nots are wider than ever. AI systems are unpredictable. Fake news and AI slop flood our feeds. It can be easy to throw your hands up in despair as everything you once knew is upside down. North is the new south, right is the new left, and probably going to get replaced in the office by a humanoid robot soon anyway. But the organisations that survived and grew in 2025 weren't the ones that went AI first. They're the ones who took the time to think and plan. They were people first, problem focused, and realistic about AI's potential and limitations. So as a business leader, what should you do now and next? First, be the 1 in 10 that succeeds with AI. However you spin the data, more AI pilots are crashing than flying right now. Don't spread your efforts too thin across multiple experiments. Pick one specific problem, solve it, double down on it, then shake those wins up the flagpole to get more investments for the next one. Tech transformation is as much a people challenge as a technology one. Get people, data and systems into flow in that priority. My 70-20-10 AI adoption model prioritised people over tech to make transformation stick. Organisations that listen, plan and involve people in tech transformation with an inclusive approach get better results. The AI-augmented worker can achieve better results than hoping and praying automation can do it all. Number 2, design for equity, not just efficiency. It's not a transformation if AI adoption leaves half the workforce behind. Artificial inequality won't fix itself. Invest in training and collaboration projects that raise all boats. AI literacy is the new universal skill. It's not a perk for higher earners or those already working in tech, or for those who have the resources and confidence and time to teach themselves. Number 3, keep your options open. Tech adoption isn't just a technical decision, it's becoming a geopolitical one. Question software vendors' claims on data privacy and sovereignty. The technologists building AI and automation systems admit they don't fully understand how they work. The AI told us to do it is no defence, legally or morally, if decisions or content conflict with other equality or privacy legislation. Avoid vendor lock-in. AI tools aren't a moat. Without full system integration, they're a commodity. LLMs should be designed to be easily swapped if possible. Number 5, build trustworthy systems and content. Don't blindly trust AI outputs. The synthetic content influx in feeds where your brand is trying to get noticed means verification is critical. Trustworthy content, authored or reviewed by subject matter experts, will help your brand succeed in search, AI discovery, and crucially, getting customers and prospects to trust you. Use AI to plan, research, and verify outputs, particularly when aggregating large and complex data sets like unstructured research data. Develop clear policies on AI use, data privacy, and content authenticity. When everyone has access to the same tools, the outputs and ideas converge. Avoid what I call the 50 shades of beige in formulaic generative AI content. Make sure critical decisions on brand, messaging, and strategy are led by expert thinkers. And finally, keep on keeping on. Don't despair that you, your team, or your organization are falling behind with new technologies. AI is starting to mature, but it's far from being a foundational technology. Quantum computing, industrial robots, and nanotechnologies may be the game-changing opportunity for your business and your industry. Keep testing new technologies as they emerge, but stay focused on solving your thorniest problems. Shiny new things or slightly faster horses aren't going to change the game. But quick wins can help you become a transformation-led organisation ready to face the inevitable winds of change we're already facing. Those were my trends for 2025, but what were yours? Do get in touch and sign up to the newsletter at rethinkhypecycle.substack.com. Put a link in the show notes to a 3-month free subscription to the email newsletter. If you've enjoyed this episode, do sign up on your favourite podcast channel to get future editions. I'm Susie O'Neill from Rethinking the Hype Cycle, and until next time, keep it curious.